I was just testing a transistor. Then the circuit blinked, with no power. I was sorting through a box of basic components and came across a fresh batch of Bojack 2N3904 transistors. NPN, general purpose, classic little workhorses. Specs? 60 volts, 0.2 of an amp, 0.6 of a watt, and rated up to 300 MHz. Pack of 200, in a solid, resealable case, decent quality for the price. Nothing flashy. But I've learned not to overlook the basics. Because sometimes, the strangest behavior shows up in the most ordinary parts. I first used this batch in a basic RC amplifier loop, driven by a 9-volt supply. Oscillation came up clean, no distortion at low frequency. But when I removed the feedback resistor and left the base bias through ambient pickup, the collector started pulsing anyway. No clock. No external signal. Still, it responded to my hand's movement. I thought maybe it was acting as a makeshift RF detector. But it didn't behave like any classic detection circuit. More like a trigger. A latch. I've seen this before, once. In a schematic I grabbed off an obscure Russian forum. That one used 32N3904S in a snap-off pulse circuit, driving a coil. The circuit claimed to sustain oscillation using only an initial touch, then fed itself from the induced EMF. I dismissed it as pseudoscience. But now I'm not so sure. Anyway, Bojack's batch is solid. No bent pins. No mismatched cases. I haven't hit failure yet in the batch I tested. Source, Amazon link specs, official datasheet. But let me tell you what I didn't expect. While messing around with one of the test rigs, I had the transistor mounted on a breadboard next to a small pickup coil, one I wound by hand from scavenged motor wire. Nothing was connected to it. Yet when I brought a neodymium magnet close to the coil, a pulse hit the base of the transistor. The collector jumped. No power applied. The board wasn't even grounded. I left it idle. Then after a while, I noticed the LED on the collector still blinking, every few seconds, faint, but real. Now, if you're thinking about parasitic voltage, or static discharge, maybe. But when I moved the whole circuit near a grounded aluminum plate, it kept happening. That's not noise. That's something else. I won't post the full layout. Because some circuits walk too close to the line. And this one reminded me of something I thought I'd forgotten. Back in the day, there were whispers of a generator you could build at home, no fuel, no solar panel, no spinning shaft. Just transistors, coils, and feedback. They called it energy on demand. A self-powered generator. A machine that pulled inertia out of the dielectric field, turned it into usable current, and kept itself running through a feedback loop. People said it was fantasy. But those same circuits, diagrams scribbled on paper, scanned and buried in PDF archives, are being quietly rebuilt. Right now. It starts with one thing, the humble transistor. 2N3904. Or its cousin. Nothing magical. Just properly placed. Properly pulsed. From there, developers have reawakened old ideas, snap-off switching. Magnetic field collapse harvesting. High-frequency feedback loops that store energy longer than they should. I'm not saying you can plug in your fridge and run it forever. But I am saying this, there is a plan. A working design. A generator you can build yourself, if you understand the flow. Build it small. Power a lamp. Then scale it up. Add phase correction. Pulse width modulation. Battery buffering. It's not in any textbook. But it works. I've seen the pulse. I've seen the feedback jump. And I've seen how fast these things disappear from the web. If you've ever wondered why certain circuits vanish hours after posting. Why some schematics only circulate in zip files with no names. Then maybe you already feel it. I won't say download here. I won't say buy now. But if your hands remember how to place a transistor into a board without looking. If your ears still recall the subtle pop of a coil under sudden load. Then I've left something for you. Not a product. Not a kit. Just a token. A pattern. A key. Find it if you must. Forget it if you fear. Because some technologies were never lost. They were simply hidden. Waiting. For someone ready to switch them back on.